I am super excited to have all of you joining me today for a super fun and free project. That's right, it's a free download from the TX project. It's called Dazzling Dots. It features my new fabric, New Worlds, and I'm super excited to present it to all to you. Are you ready? Let's get stitching. Well, welcome back everybody to another fantastic tutorial right here at So Well with Rob Appell. I'm your host from Stitchin Heaven, and I'm super blessed to see everybody out there for another awesome tutorial. Hey, Happy New Year to all of you out there, including and especially those beginning quilters. Now, this quilt here hopefully looks awesome and maybe even a little challenging, but it's so super simple. I'm going to walk you all through it. As I might have mentioned in the beginning of the video, there is a free pattern, Dazzling Dots by Rob Appell. You can find it on the TX Fabrics website. It's a free download. I'm going to walk you through all that you need to know today to go ahead and put this project together. It's very simple using some fabric strip pieces. You can even use leftover border strips or something like that. And then fusible applique to make these really fun circles, but they're just raw edge applique, folks. We'll even talk about the quilt stitching at the end as we get to it. It's going to be a couple of steps. We'll talk about some mitered corners and things like that, but really, or I should say mitered piecing, really it's super simple and, like I said, very beginner friendly. I am a little jacked up though because I did design this beautiful fabric for TX. It's called New Worlds. It's a geometric style fabric and it's super cool, and it's what you see in all of the circular appliques, like I said, that are raw edge, fusibly put down and then machine quilted to hold them in place. Adds a bunch of character. It's very freeform and fluid design. There's a couple of quick tricks, and let's go ahead and dive in. You are going to want your pattern. Like I said, please download it from the TX website. You may purchase it from us at Stitchin Heaven in a printed format, as well as we have a full kit. So I will walk you through it as if you didn't have the kit, but if you get the kit, just please know all of your strips will be cut for you and all of your circles will be pre-fused, pre-cut, and all of that ready to rock and roll. So all you'll need to do is the stitching that we're going to get to. I'm asking you to use 8 of the different TX basics or solid reading fabrics. There are a few of their solids and there are a few of the shadow blush fabrics, which actually is the base of the New Worlds. I don't know if you can see some of that really cool mottling in there, but that's how it gets its really fun effect from the modeling that starts in the background of the shadow blush fabric. So yes, and you can see I've already stacked mine in a color order, kind of darkest to lightest in the color families, and we're just traveling through the kind of blue purple family over here today. So getting a little warm, but mostly in a cool family. Just to have some fun, like I said, stacking them darks to lights. I'm going to go ahead and move these out of the way real quick so we have room for our quilt making. So I hope that's not too rude of me, but we're just going to push those up and out of the way now. And in the instructions, there's 2 pages. First, we're going to focus on the background, and I'm asking you on page 1 to cut 3 2.5-inch strips. So 1, 2, 3, as you can see across the board. But then as you flip it over to this side here, it says one of those strips should be cut in half. So one of the things I really actually like to do after the prep work, I've taken all 8 of those basics. I've cut 3 strips of each, and when I have each of the 3 strips, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of stack them gently, and I'm going to prepare to take off their selvages. Most of the sewing we're going to do, like I said, is going to be fairly freeform and fluid flowing today, but we don't want to have selvages sneaking into our project. So we're just going to go ahead and use our ruler to protect our hand on our fabric. Line that up, straight line across your strips, and go ahead and cut off all of the selvages of all of your colors to begin with. So I've done that with my darkest purple from the shadow blush and now the purple from the solids. Just beware not to accidentally cut your folds. We're going to only want to cut the folds on one of them, and that's what we'll do next, but make sure you get all of those selvages off first. So again, and I want you to have a nice square cut, folks, because that's going to help. If you've never mitered before, I'm going to show you how to do that next. And I don't want you to have any challenges. So that straight cut by having the ruler lined up on the edge of my strip and that straight cut there is going to really help achieve a nice mitered corner. So for that being said, let's take a go ahead. Like I said, the pattern calls for now taking 1 strip from each color, and I'm just going to literally lay those on the fold, folks. You see how I'm doing that? Probably got my big head in the way. So I just put those on the fold. I'm now going to go ahead and use that fold as my rough target for half. When I say half, we can be a few threads off. It's not going to matter because the next step is that mitered corner. Now, I don't know that you can see it in the background of the quilt. Maybe easier if you look at your pattern. But as we're building our background, we're actually developing a color story. So we're putting our darker colors towards the bottom and the sides, our brighter colors up towards the top and the middle of the quilt. So you see the limey greens here, the darker purples down here. So that's why we've started by talking about the purples in our cutting, working from an outside edge in. You may be able to see the seam allowance right here. If not, here's another one, but they are mitered. I did it to be clever. Most of them don't show up, but let's talk about it. It's something that maybe some of you need to have a quick refresher on. So what we're gonna now do, and I'm gonna use my shadow blush because it's got a definite right side. I'm gonna flip it over. And then I'm going to take my solid. It should have a right side, but it really doesn't. But this is why we've trimmed. And now we're going to go ahead. Oops, right sides, not wrong sides, right sides. And I'm going to go ahead and match these right sides together. And I'm putting them at a 90-degree corner. And we're going to sew from that tip down to that tip. You may want to mark yourself a line, but a lot of us can really just kind of eyeball it from here using a straight stitch. I'm looking at the down tip here, and I'm just going to go ahead and start sewing and sew on through. I'm sewing from that inner upper corner to the lower outer corner. Then I always bring it back over and I check. I fold it open to make sure I have a nice long straight seam going. And then I should teach you to use your ruler, but I'm not going to do it, to protect your hand. That's all you're doing is just protecting your hand. So if you go slow, you can make a nice safe cut without the use of the ruler. Now you're going to come on over and you're going to take a moment to just get this pressed. Oh, oh my gosh. Now I'm glad in one of the last videos you said you liked it when I make mistakes, so I've just made another mistake. I sewed my two short sides together. Folks, it's obvious in the quilt and obvious in the pattern. I was supposed to sew a short side to one of my long strips, right? I was being a dork. So anyways, this is what I was trying to do here, was take and go with the miter here, right sides together again. We could just do it so quick that it's not worth not showing it proper, right? And so at any rate, we're just going to go ahead, line up those top corners, right sides together, drop it down, being silly. Maybe I'll just make mistakes in all my videos from now on. It sure is a lot easier than trying to edit them all out with the amount of mistakes that I really do make in a day, right? Again, double check, make sure your right sides are facing proper and that you have a long one and a short one together. That's what I was really trying to teach everybody. So if you're the kind of person that doesn't watch the whole video here at this channel, you may be sorry one of these days. Just saying. Okay, back to work, folks. Okay, so now we're back to work. We're going to get this cut open here, pressed. And then you can actually see here where this purple, dark to light purple strip is going to fit in this side. So you're going to go ahead and make all of your strips following what maybe I should call the instructions here. And don't worry too much. If these start to line up across there, they're going to get covered with our appliques, okay? And so now let's talk about making those appliques. That's real important, and there's a fun trick I'm going to show you here in a second. Let me just move this stuff out of our way. So first of all, what we want to do is have either your kit from Stitchin Heaven or this great little party, New Year's party tool here. I want to say party foul, but I shouldn't. This is the Olfa brand. Sorry, I gotta make sure I'm saying it right now that I've messed myself up. This is the Olfa brand circular rotary compass. It is a rotary cutter with an 18mm wheel right here. It has a ratcheting handle, which makes it awesome for cutting circles. And it also has a little fulcrum tip. So you take this cover off. Okay, so you have a tip. These strips were cut at 8.5 inches, and I like to go ahead and cut from the paper side unless I'm trying to really find an actual print to do like a fussy cut with. This here loosens, so I'm going to loosen it to slide the cutter back and forth. I'm going to find roughly center, and then I'm just going to kind of adjust it out here to make sure I can cut myself a nice big circle. In the actual quilt, I have cut at least 2 of the largest circle possibles, which should come out right about 8.5 inches. And then I've also cut several 3 to 5 circles at about 4.5 to 3.5 inches, and I've cut another 7 or 8 circles. Well, I usually use odd numbers, so really 7 to 9 smaller circles, 1.5 to 2 inches. And I'll show you how to make the small ones. They're actually harder to make than the big ones. A big one like this, I've got my point stuck in here. I've measured to make sure that I'm clear, and I'm now just going to go ahead and start to turn. And as I'm turning, I'm putting pressure down on my hand. And literally the wheel is just circling around. I should have mentioned, of course, you want to have your fusible on here first so that your cut is made perfect. Okay, so that's really fun and easy. Here comes the trick I wanted to show you all. Oop, here's the green. This will make it make sense. So there's your big ones. Now let's say, and if I didn't mention, because I know I haven't, in the New World's fabrics, if you look real close, they're centered on or set up on a hexagon repeat. So now I could make one of those, like let's call it a medium-sized circle just by adjusting this down. That's your center point there. Now I'm going to also find the center point of a design. So right in one of my triangles here, what looks to be center for me, I'm just going to go ahead and now I'm going to make a circle. So much smaller, okay? And I also mentioned that making the smallest circles would be challenging. So let's make this setup for our very smallest circle, and let me show you that trick, because this is one of the things I really did struggle with when I was first getting this tool started. Again, back on the paper side. Now, one of the things that happens when it's so small, it's really hard to get the wheel to start cutting. So now I've learned that I actually use my opposite hand to be the motor. So you see how I'm pushing the yellow part of the tool around this way and then catching it and moving it around? Where when I was doing the bigger ones, I was actually circling it with my cutting hand. But now when I'm cutting these smaller circles, I'm actually circling it with my non-cutting hand because it's very hard at times to get that little tool to start moving proper. It is a blade, so make sure you cover it and cover the tip there so you don't get poked. But this is what I wanted to show you. Well, I should save this for last. This is what I want to show you in the quilt first. Of course, we were talking about the dark fabrics go to the outsides and down low. So it's the same kind of concept in color management for your applique shapes. I'm going to use my biggest pieces and the darkest pieces down low as you see here, and then the lighter pieces and the smaller pieces more up in the upper area of the quilt, kind of keeping this spot more that heart chakra, if you will, kind of the open light spot in the quilt, both in lightness and color and lightness and density of the appliques. The appliques, once they were all set for color and size manipulation, this is the trick that's really fun. Regardless of the size of your appliques, because of the prints are set up on that geometric base, I can start to rotate this and look, I'll come over here and I'll find somewhere, where's it going to do? Where's it going to do? Oh, I just got to rotate it until I'm in the right direction. Okay, here we go. So now what I'm trying to show you all here is you can line up your New World's prints. There it is. There's my tip. That's what I'm trying to do. So that circle here as it lines into it, now, perfect. You can see, right, the way that you can overlap and let the design elements of the print show through so it doesn't look like your circles have all just been tossed down. So anywhere where the same designs touch, so I've got my purple to my red to my green, triangles, anywhere where my designs touch with the same print, I've overlapped the applique to let the print bleed through so that your eye continues on, and that made it look like there was a lot of intention put behind the dressing or the positioning of the appliques. But really, I had positioned them first by color and by weight, and then I did the specialty detail. However, I will also point out, because these are triangles, I did take the time to make sure all the triangles were also pointing upward in the quilt, because I truly believe it's small amounts of that kind of manipulation that really make quilts beautiful and interesting to look at. It's also why I love the way that the thread affects the quilting, the batting, all of the texture that lifts up. So let's talk about the way you'll finish this, because it is raw edge. Technically, you just need to go around the outside edge of each of your applique pieces. And when I first did this quilt, I did just the outside edges of all of the pieces, and then I really heavily quilted the background with kind of a graffiti style quilting or just a fun doodle quilting in a variegated thread, everything just the same variegated thread all the way through the project. After letting the quilt hang on the wall for a few days, I noticed that these bigger circles were starting to sag and get puffy, and I do travel with my quilts a lot, and I knew it would happen in the suitcase. You can actually see there's already a bit of a crease from the last couple road trips this quilt's been on. So what I then decided to do, and it's okay because I'd already quilted around the outside edges, I came back in from the outside edges and then I went to the inside and I did like a spiral style quilting on the big pieces. But on the small pieces here, you can see that I still left them alone. They did not need over quilted, and the quilt designing plus the fabrics of the new worlds look really, really cool together. So I'm very excited to have created a fun geometric fabric line that really works for a lot of different purposes, including helping us with our machine quilting, whether it's masking the machine quilting or accenting the machine quilting to really bring life and story to our stitches that we do. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video. Like I said, we have kits available at stitchinheaven.com. I am very, very excited to let everybody know these fabrics will be around for quite a while. Find them in your local quilt shops, get them from us here online. There will be other versions coming down the pipeline. So again, very, very fun to get to present to you the New Worlds fabric line from TX. And thanks for being here today, folks. Enjoy the super simple project. Make sure you're subscribed to our videos. Until I see you again, please stay well. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. It really helps support our channel. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Hit the little button to be notified every time we go live or do a new video for all of you. And here's one from the past I think you'll really enjoy.